It's Monday, June 18, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Barbados records its 19th road fatality for the year. Dead is DeCourcy Gulston of Westbury Main Road, St Michael, who died at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital around 9:40 last night after being involved in an afternoon accident. According to police spokesman Inspector Rodney Innes, Gulston crossed into the path of a motorcycle driven by Ridge Hollingsworth of Parishland Christchurch just after 3 yesterday afternoon at the junction of Rihanna Drive. Gulston was incoherent at the scene and was taken to hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries. Hollingsworth, meantime, complained of pain to his right knee and elbow. Police investigations are continuing. Meantime, police are carrying out investigations into a reported incident which allegedly took place on a pleasure cruise. Details are sketchy at this time, but Inspector Innes said lawmen got a report of the incident, but when they got to the vessel, the injured parties had left the area. He said officers also spoke to several persons, but no one wanted to give any information. He said the force was also aware of videos making the round on social media of the alleged incident, but no official report has been made. They are also not releasing the name of the vessel at this time. In other news, Prime Minister Mottley is heading to St Lucia this morning for the 65th meeting of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Authority. The Prime Minister is a special guest of the June 18 and 19 meeting, which will be chaired by Vincentian leader Dr. Ralph Gonzalez. Prime Minister Mottley is accompanied by Foreign Affairs and Trade Minister Senator Dr. Jerome Walcott, his Permanent Secretary Simone Rudder, and Permanent Secretary in the Prime Minister Office, Alice Jordan. Now, when the Prime Minister returns on Tuesday, she will ready herself to meet with the President of the Inter-American Development Bank, Luis Alberto Moreno, the following day. Prime Minister Mottley made the announcement over the weekend following a trip to Washington, where she had talks with the head of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde.
The fact that we've had 2 engagements in less than 2 weeks with the Managing Director of the IMF is very, very gratifying to me. We're not unequally yoked. We are being treated with respect and they've acted with dispatch, and we are very grateful for that. I am going to tell you that on Wednesday we will host the President of the Inter-American Development Bank, President Moreno, who is coming in, and who, when he called last week, said, look, we want to come and stand shoulder to shoulder with Barbados, because we recognize that Barbados is doing a difficult thing, but is doing the right thing and acting in this manner. And they know, as we do, that once we settle this arrangement, it unlocks hundreds of millions of development capital for us to fix our broken infrastructure and for us to create a platform for greater competitiveness.
The Prime Minister also revealed that her government was in the process of putting together a strong economic team to meet with an IMF negotiating team, which will be in the country from July 2nd in a bid to settle the likely terms and conditions of a monetary contract.
The government itself is preparing itself for its negotiating team, and we are bringing back in people who we have here, as well as others who we need, to make sure that our negotiation team is a strong team, and to ensure that that which Barbadians will have to commit to in exchange for accessing support, and it's really a loan that you access from the IMF at very, very, very negligible interest rates, 1%, and that will allow us to boost our international reserves. But the importance of going to the IMF is also that it unlocks other international concessional funding. So the Inter-American Development Bank, for example, will now be in a position to start lending us serious amounts of capital once we have an agreement with the International Monetary Fund. Indeed, upon signing with the IMF, there's an immediate unlock significant amounts of capital, and then we go into other discussions with them on policy-based loans and investment sector loans.
This island's creative and cultural industry is in line for a transformation. That's according to Minister in charge of the sector, John King. He made the announcement yesterday during the Crop Over Thanksgiving service at the St Barnabas Anglican Church, held under the theme Art of Celebration.
In the fulfillment of this art of celebration only, a palette of breadtones will be used to mark this Crop Over Festival. This season will demonstrate our government's plans for the expansion and growth of the creative economy. That we believe will pave the way and a great future for the generations of cultural practitioners. We will use this season to demonstrate our gratitude for our creative stakeholders as we archive the completed works of the previous festivals.
Consumers are being advised not to eat and to discard any Kellogg's Honey Smacks cereal, regardless of the size or expiry dates. It's coming from the Acting Deputy Director of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Margaret Campbell-Leslie, as her department expands a recent voluntary recall by Hanschel Innes on all Kellogg's Honey Smacks. This as the United States Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control and Protection and state and local partners investigate an outbreak of salmonella infections in the U.S. that may be linked to this sweetened puff wheat cereal. However, there have been no reports of death. In sports, Spitzer Shannon Gabriel snatched a career best 6-wicket haul to take 10 wickets in a test for the first time. However, Sri Lanka resisted stubbornly, setting up an intriguing final day of the second test set for today. Floundering on a 48 for 4 after resuming Sunday's penultimate day on 34 for 1 in their second innings, Sri Lanka rallied to end on 334 for 8, a handy lead of already 287 runs. However, Gabriel stole the headlines with a spell of 6 for 57, which gave him 11 wickets so far in the contest and has left him just too shy of 100 wickets in his test career.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
We pick up with news from Guyana, where preliminary investigations have revealed traces of a natural gas contained in a muddy eruption at a housing scheme in the Diamond area. According to the head of the Civil Defense Commission, Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig, the eruption occurred as a resident was digging a well.
Lieutenant Colonel Craig said the situation will be monitored and several precautionary measures were taken.
We want to take out all the electricity and ensure there's no ignitable sources within the area as for now.
Craig said this is not the first such incident, as he referenced a similar incident in 2009.
I think a number of years ago in 2009, there was a similar incident. Based on information from GWI, they're saying that this area here is it's a high-pressure area, I think. High-pressure area.
High-pressure aquifer.
High-pressure aquifer, and if you drill wells in this area and you go up a certain depth, it's likely to have impact like this here.
Kemraj Pars, from Executive Director Acting of the Environmental Protection Agency, said once official test results are back, then the next course of action will be taken.
Cleanup, all of that will be determined after we finish here. So until we determine exactly what's the situation, then we'll have our plan of action. But rest assured, the CDC, the EPA, the help from the private sector, we're all working together on this.
And finally, on the international front, Father's Day was marred by protests outside an immigration detention facility in New Jersey. in a demonstration against what reports say is the government's practice of separating children from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border. We get more in this Reuters TV report.
Have legal authorization to come in and visit them.
A fiery exchange at the Elizabeth Contract Detention Facility in New Jersey Sunday as members of Congress made a surprise inspection. The group of Democratic lawmakers joined immigration rights activists to visit with detainees seeking asylum and protest U.S. President Donald Trump's zero-tolerance immigration policy.
These people came here because they had scenes of murder, torture. They were being persecuted, and they came with their kids. This is Father's Day. They came with their kids because they wanted to protect their kids.
2,000 miles away, demonstrators held a Father's Day vigil in support of the children being held without their parents in a McAllen, Texas immigration facility.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, and you can also tune in on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.